My boss looked me dead in the eye and told me this was the worst report I'd ever submitted. Absolutely unreadable, she said. So I looked back at her, smiled and asked, "Really? Because this is your work from 3 years ago, Paula." Beat. The look on her face? Priceless. If you've ever dreamed of serving ice-cold justice to a boss who made your life hell, hit that like button right now, subscribe, and buckle up, because this is one of the most satisfying workplace revenge stories you'll ever hear. 19 years ago, I landed what I thought was my dream job at State Street Bank in Boston. And let me tell you right now, real names, real places, I don't care. If you're looking to work there, skip it. It's a nightmare. The position was sold to me as this elite opportunity, a mini project team tackling complex financial operations, high SVP visibility, real impact work. I was excited, energized, ready to prove myself. Pause for effect. What I actually walked into was what I now call a mushroom farm. You know what they do in mushroom farms, right? They keep you in the dark and feed you shit. My boss, let's call her Paula, because that was her name, and I want you to remember it. Paula was one of the worst human beings I have ever encountered in my professional life. And I'm not exaggerating. Every single day felt like walking into a minefield where the mines were just her personality. My actual job? Compile reports. Gather data from people who were absolutely terrified of our team. That was it. No complex problem solving. No strategic thinking. Just data entry and weekly humiliation. I realized within weeks I'd been bait and switched. And I started looking for an exit the moment I understood what I'd gotten myself into. One of my main responsibilities was this weekly report on Nigerian oil warrants. Now, for those who don't know, a warrant is basically an agreement to buy a commodity at a locked-in price, no matter what the market does. We were monitoring one where someone had the option to buy oil at $30 a barrel, when prices had skyrocketed to $90 a barrel. We had no idea if the holder even knew about this gold mine, but we had to track it because if they exercised that warrant, the financial liability for the bank would be massive. So every week, I'd compile the numbers, accurate, clean, double-checked. Every week, I'd format it professionally. Every week, I'd write a clear cover letter. And every single week, voice drops, frustrated. Paula would destroy me. Not about the numbers. Oh no, the numbers were always right. She'd go after the formatting, the font choice, the verbiage in my cover letter. She'd circle words with red pen like a sadistic English teacher and call me into her office to explain why I was so incompetent. Why is this bolded? Why did you use this phrase? Why is the margin set to 1 inch instead of 0.9 inches? I'm not kidding. 0.9 inches. It was ticky-tack nonsense. Week after week after week. And I could feel it. That tightness in your chest when you're being gaslit. That voice in your head asking, am I actually terrible at my job? Or is this person just trying to break me? Pause. It was the second one. One day, a few months into this nightmare, I was digging through the network files looking for something unrelated. And I stumbled across an old project folder buried in the archives. I clicked it open and froze. It was Paula's work. From a few years earlier, before they promoted her and given her a team to torture. She'd done a nearly identical report for a similar project. And you know what I saw? The exact same formatting issues she tore me apart for. The exact same language she called unprofessional. The exact same structure she claimed was unreadable. I just sat there at my desk, staring at my screen, and I felt this warmth spread through my chest. Not anger, not frustration, clarity. This wasn't about me. This wasn't about my work. Paula wasn't a perfectionist. She was a bully, and she was tearing me down because she could, because it made her feel powerful. And in that moment, I'm not gonna lie, I smiled, because I just found the perfect trap. The next week, I completely reformatted my report. I used her exact template, her wording, her cover letter phrasing, her margin settings, her font choices, everything. I even matched the tone of her writing, slightly formal, little bit stiff, exactly the style she'd spent months telling me was wrong. Then I printed it out, walked to her office, and handed it over for review. Dramatic pause. She. Lost. Her. Shit. What is this? What happened to the old format? I kept my face neutral. Calm. Professional. Well, Paula, you didn't seem to like what I'd been doing, so I thought it best to try a new approach. This is worse than before. This is probably the worst report you've ever submitted to me. She went on, and on, and on, circling things with her red pen, shaking her head, muttering about how I clearly wasn't cut out for this role. I just stood there, silent, watching her destroy her own work. Finally, she looked up at me, exhausted from her own rage, and said, "What were you thinking when you made these changes? Beat, savor the moment." I looked her dead in the eye and said, "I used the formatting and language you used when you were doing a similar report a few years back. I found your old folder on the network. This is your work, Paula. Verbatim. I just changed the numbers and relevant details." Pause for effect. And then I handed her printouts of her old reports to compare side by side. The look on her face. I wish I could have taken a picture. Her mouth opened slightly. Her eyes darted between the papers. Her face went from red with anger to pale with realization. She just spent 15 minutes eviscerating herself. She just stared at me, speechless, dumbstruck. So I pressed. Should I go back to my old format then? Nothing. Paula! She swallowed hard, grabbed a pen, and signed off on the reports. Send them as is. I tilted my head, playing innocent. Are you sure? Because less than a minute ago, you said they were basically unreadable. Her jaw clenched. They're fine. We don't have time to redo them. Just send them. So I did. Tone shifts to strategic. Now I'm not an idiot. I knew exactly what she'd do next. So before that meeting, I'd already downloaded every single old report, template, and project file she'd ever created. Saved them locally. Backed them up. And sure enough, the next day, those folders were gone. Deleted from the network. But I had copies. Triumphant tone. For the next several months, this became our little game. Every report, every cover letter, every document, I'd use her old templates. And every time, she'd start to criticize, then catch herself. Because she knew I had her trapped. One day, she finally asked if I still had all her old work. "Oh, absolutely," I said, smiling. "I created SOPs using all your past work and saved them locally." It seemed like the logical thing to do. She didn't respond, and a few months later, I quit, on my terms, with my dignity intact. Here's the thing about people like Paula. They don't actually want excellence. They want control. They want you small, uncertain, and desperate for their approval. And the moment you stop playing that game, the moment you hold up a mirror and show them exactly who they are, they crumble. I didn't get fired. I didn't get demoted. I just refused to be her emotional punching bag anymore. And that was enough. So if you're in a job where someone is tearing you down week after week, document everything. Save everything. And remember, the best revenge is forcing someone to confront their own hypocrisy. So fuck you, Paula. Wherever you are. Shift to audience. If this story gave you chills, or if it reminded you of your own workplace nightmare, smash that like button. Drop a comment and tell me, what's the most satisfying revenge you've ever witnessed? Or better yet, enacted? And if you want more stories of people standing up to bullies, taking back their power, and serving ice-cold justice, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Because trust me, we're just getting started.